Andy, good to talk to you. The Prime Minister's had quite a baptism of fire, hasn't she?
Yes, Dan, it's incredible to think that yesterday she was in Westminster Abbey reading a lesson at the funeral of Queen Elizabeth. Today, as you say, she's here at the United Nations in New York. She will be addressing the United Nations General Assembly tomorrow evening. Massive issues on the international stage to be talked about, but also an incredibly pressing agenda for the domestic economy. We're expecting a kind of mini budget on Friday. I've been talking about all of this with Liz Truss when I spoke with her earlier today at the top of the Empire State Building. Liz Truss is in New York to turn her attention to the wider world, but the economy back home must be her priority. And as part of a mini budget this Friday, her government's expected to lift the cap on bonuses that bankers can earn. Why?
My absolute focus is on getting the economy growing, making sure we've got jobs and growth across the country, making sure we're a high-wage economy. And I'm prepared to take unpopular decisions, difficult decisions, if what it means is it makes our country more competitive and more successful. And that's what I will do, and that's what the Chancellor will do in the fiscal statement that he's making on Friday.
So can we expect more tax cuts there, for instance, in that fiscal statement on Friday, which again will mean people who are already earning well will get to keep more of their money? It does seem every time there's a decision on this, you look like you're on the wrong side. Whose side are you on in this?
I'm on the side of people across the United Kingdom making sure we have a growing economy and a high-wage economy that delivers investment in our manufacturing industry and in industries like farming. And the way we're going to do that is keep taxes low, make sure that businesses want to invest into Britain, make sure that we get things moving, like get building roads, get building broadband, make sure that we're improving things like our mobile phone coverage. That is the way we will make our country successful, and I am prepared to take unpopular decisions that will make that happen.
Now, a lot of the difficulties with energy prices comes from the war in Ukraine. Are you prepared to say to British households who are going to be saying, look at my bills, because they will still be going up, sorry, this is the price you have to pay, we have to pay to support Ukraine? Are you prepared to say that to them?
Peace and security is priceless. And if we don't do all we can to back Ukraine and make sure that they prevail against Russia, we will be in a much worse situation, as will the whole of Europe. And that's why I'm committed to continuing our support to Ukraine, to doing what it takes to help the Ukrainians succeed, working with our allies that I'm here meeting at the UN today. And what the government has done is we have stepped in to make sure that there is an energy price guarantee so people and businesses can get through this winter. But ultimately, what we need to do is make sure we're never in the same situation again. And that's why I'm investing in making sure we've got more nuclear capability, more offshore wind, more gas, so that we are not dependent on authoritarian regimes like Russia.
We're here at the United Nations, you're here at the United Nations. Are you worried some countries are going to start peeling off in their support for Ukraine? And if they do, what do you feel is at stake? What would you be telling them?
What I am saying is that it is imperative that Ukraine prevail and that Putin doesn't succeed, because he won't stop at Ukraine. We know there is a threat to European security. And we also need to think about the message that would be sent to other authoritarian regimes around the world if he was successful. So that's the message I'm going to be giving to our friends and allies. We need to work together on defence. We need to work together on economic security to make sure that in the long term it's free democratic societies that succeed.
You've talked about recompense being paid by Russia. Is there any chance of Russia paying reparations to Ukraine, realistically?
Well, what I was saying is it's not just important that Ukraine prevails, it's also important this never happens again. And there has been grave damage caused across Ukraine. I'm proud that the United Kingdom has stepped up. We're working with the Kyiv region to help their reconstruction. But I would expect that the Russian state, which has vast oil and gas reserves, should be contributing to rebuilding Ukraine.
48 hours after Liz Truss was appointed Prime Minister, Queen Elizabeth passed away. How did she feel when she heard the news?
Well, I was hugely honoured to be invited by Her Majesty the Queen to form a government and to have that meeting in Balmoral. And when the news came through, about her passing away. You know, I was shocked. I think the whole nation was shocked, and you know, what we've seen since is a tremendous outpouring of love and affection, not just in the United Kingdom, but right around the world for Her Majesty the Queen and what she represented, but also huge warmth towards King Charles III. And you know, the country really has come together at what has been a difficult but also a momentous time in our history.
The country has appeared united in grief and reverence over the last 2 weeks. The new Prime Minister will now once again face many of the old divisions.
It's certainly been a strange first few weeks for Liz Truss as Prime Minister, Andy, and this really constitutes a huge political test for her. What do you think her main message will be to some of the other world leaders?
Well, I think you heard it pretty much there, Dan, which is she is going to be impressing on them that Russia must not be able to prevail, as she puts it, in Ukraine. She's already said that the help that Britain gave in 2022 to Ukraine, that help, at least possibly more, will be given in 2023. And she is trying to impress on those other governments that there has to be more cooperation and there has to be more attention paid to energy self-sufficiency, so that various countries, including the UK, can never end up in a situation where Russia can exercise quite so much power over them because of Russian dominance in energy supplies.